All right, guys. So while I got you here, I'm gonna tell you guys like this. This is I 100% throughout the course of my life, I have not been a topwater fisherman. Like I have not been. There's people that tell me all the time, man, you got to throw a frog, got to throw this, got to throw this. I have not been a topwater fisherman, and you know, it's fine. I've done well. I've caught plenty of fish. Just they haven't been on topwater. I've caught probably previous to this year. I probably caught 8 fish over 7 years on a frog, and probably 6 or 7 fish on a buzzbait. For like 7 years of fishing, I caught maybe 15 fish on a buzzbait or a frog. Popper, I have caught quite a few on the popper. I just never consistently throw it. But one thing I will say that I've noticed a lot when it comes to this topwater fishing, and I'll try to give you guys some tips, because as of this year, I probably have caught 700 fish on topwater this year. I have not put topwater down since like April, guys. I mean, the majority of fish you see me weigh in or come to a scale anywhere has been on topwater. I've caught a ton of topwater frogfish this year, a ton of buzzbait fish this year. But one of the key things for me for topwater fishing, I'm saying this basically to try to help someone else, because someone else, it may be something that you struggle with or don't catch a ton of fish as well. One of the big things is covering water is going to be key. Number one, covering water. That is key, because you will basically make 999,000 casts, and then one spot, one time, pow, and you will get a fish that you've been looking for the whole time, or you'll at least get a keeper at some point. You know, now, like I said, there's other ways to catch fish. For me, I'm not a fan of making that many casts and not getting bit. By that time, I would normally make 10, 20 with topwater, don't get bit. I switch to a Senko, I switch to a crankbait, switch to a chatterbait. I'll go ahead and get a bite out the deal. I don't want to keep covering all that water to finally get one bite. One of the things though that I've noticed this year though is, since I've been covering water, since I've been getting that one bite, I now know where that one bite's going to come from. So now I'm more likely to make that cast where that one bite came from, and I keep getting that one bite. You see what I'm saying? So basically you're covering water to try to get the angles and the likelihood areas of catching fish. Once you get those areas, then you start making that cast more often at different bodies of water, at different locations. You make that cast, and now you're increasing your odds. But you have to make the multiple casts to start to understand where the fish are at, to then be able to make the right cast and be more effective with your time. So that's part of the reason why I think I've been catching more topwater fish this year than I ever have, because I finally know where to make that cast, what's likely, where the fish wants to come up and get the bait at. That way I can make that cast everywhere, and then I'm giving myself a better chance at actually getting the bites that I want to get. So number one, recovering water. Number two is the presentation. So there's sometimes if you're throwing a frog, you may not think much of it, but sometimes the little subtle details will make the difference. I started throwing a more translucent frog. I started getting more bites. When I go to a different place, I throw, you know, different color. And then when it comes to buzzbaits too, the same thing. Different color buzzbait, different color this, different trailer on my buzzbait. Playing around with little nuances based on your bodies of water. That's kind of where I'm going with this. Because you'll have everybody in the video say, oh, if it's this day, throw a black frog. If it's this day, throw a white frog. That's fine for where they're at, but you have to figure out the subtle nuances of where you're at fishing. That black frog that works for them on such and such a day might need to be a green pumpkin orange frog for you to start getting those consistent bites, because these fish where you're at don't want the black frog. They don't see nothing black. They don't want nothing black. They don't like the shadow above their head. Maybe there's another species like a chain pickle or something that's always above them, so they're not so inclined to go up and hit that black bottom. Or the white bottom, because the white bottom is a chain. You know, there's something, little things that make it so like you try to use someone's tip or technique and you're like, daggone, I can't never get no bites on nothing. I had to make the technique work for my specific fisheries and what I do. And then sometimes I can just revert back to what normal people say. Black, white frog, green pumpkin frog, shad pattern kind of frog, a little bit of blue in it, you know, things like that. But you basically have to tailor that to your bodies of water where you're fishing at to make that make sense for you. So I hope these tips help. Little quick video on some topwater. Cover water. Pay attention to the subtle nuances, whether that be color, whether that be size. Maybe you don't need a huge buzzbait. Maybe you need a little bit shorter. Maybe your frog's too big. Maybe a little smaller frog. Maybe you need a bigger frog. You know, little nuances like that to help you get more bites. And then make sure that you're tailoring what you're doing to your fishery that you're at. Don't, if you're in Cali, you can't be listening to the Alabama guy telling you throw black and white. You might need to throw a different color type of thing, or vice versa. If you're in Alabama, you might need to throw something different. You're in Virginia, you might, if you're in New York, you might need to throw your different versions. One last little tidbit I will say is speed. Speed is a big thing when it comes to the buzzbait or a frog even. How fast you're twitching, how slow you're twitching. Do you need to twitch? Does it need to just sit? Do you need a big twitch? Do you need a small twitch with the buzzbait? Do you need to burn it? Do you need to slow wind it? You know, there's little things like that that you need to pay attention to. So I would say it's 3 for the video, but I did say 2 already. So 1, cover water. 2, nuances in your area specific to your bodies of water. 3 is speed and retrieve. Make sure that you're doing the right retrieve. You can burn it a bunch, and then if you slow down, you might get the bite. You can slow down and then burn, you might get the bite. Every once in a while, you're throwing a buzzbait. Maybe you twitch your rod, make a little fast action, and then go. There's a lot of little nuances to it, but over time, practice, time on the water, you can't replace it. Put the time in, you will catch the fish. But I did go from literally 15 fish over 7 years to like 700 in 1. It's insane. You can change it. It's never too late to change it, and there's plenty of ways you can get it done to make it change. So hopefully these tips help. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it always. You guys are awesome, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.